While the creator, Vashishta continued, while the creator continued to meditate, I looked around. I saw a sun arising in every direction, 10 of them. Another arose from the bowels of the earth. The 11th, three more looked like the three eyes of Rudra, and together they formed the 12th. The universe was reduced to ashes by the eyes of Rudra. Only two objects remained unaffected: space, because it was all pervading, and gold, because it was pure. Nothing else was left. Future generations could only wonder. Perhaps there was a world, a universe, a creation before. Then terrible winds dried everything. This was followed by dreadful clouds which showered adamant and thunderbolt. There was total darkness. Only the vital air or prana which presides over the disintegration of matter sustained the disintegrating objects. The entire space was filled with flying cities, demons, fire, serpents, and suns, which looked like so many flies and mosquitoes. The three elements, water, fire, and wind, were completely out of control. There was total darkness. Devoid of the veil of creation, that which remains after the total destruction of what is known as creation alone existed. Once again, there was fullness, the fullness that becomes apparent when the diverse creatures are destroyed, the fullness that was there all the time. There was no space, there was no directions, there was neither elements nor a creation. There was but one limitless ocean of consciousness. I saw the Creator seated in meditation, surrounded by the first principles. The 12 sons also arrived there and entered into meditation. I saw them as one sees dream objects or manifestations of mental conditioning, not as the materialization of dream objects. I then realized that all of them were pure void. That very instant they vanished from sight. Even the world of the Creator had been destroyed. I saw a fearsome form. He was like embodied dissolution of the universe. He shone by his own radiance. I thought, this is Rudra, and bowed to him. O Rama, he is the ego sense. He is devoted to the disturbance of the equilibrium, his form to pure space or void. His form is pure space or void. Therefore, his color is like that of space. The five senses are his faces. The five organs of action and their field are his 10 arms. This form of Rudra is but a small particle of the infinite consciousness. He exists as movement in Chidakasa, infinite consciousness, as air in both the physical space and in living beings, as their life breath. In course of time, when all his movements come to an end, he attains supreme equilibrium. Since he is attained by goodness and his very existence is for the good of all, he is known as Siva. He then attains to the state of supreme peace and is therefore known as Krishna. He himself creates the whole universe and he drinks the one ocean of cosmic being and attains to that supreme peace.
So most of it is story, how there is just void and nothingness after the deluge. Yeah? And then you can see the ego. If you remember, in Kathopanishad, I did this with you. First, the Brahman consciousness gives birth to Mahat Tattva. And that Mahat Tattva gives birth to Ahankara. Do you remember this? No? I told you when you go back towards moksha, first you will meet Ahankara, which is the most difficult to drop off. And the moment you drop that off, you are at Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva is the greatest principle that has created everything. And that is the door to moksha, if you remember. So there is this Maha Ahankara, which was created before you. It exists in this space That is how that vibration in the pool of consciousness arose, and the I comes up. How does that I come up? You're actually breathing that ahankara, literally. It's there everywhere.
So Maha Ankara was there before the pool of consciousness also.
Yes. So pool of consciousness is there. It's a part of the existence of Mahat Tattva. The ahankara or the Maha Ahankara is like the breath of it. It is there everywhere. And the moment there is some vibration in the pool of consciousness because of whatever, the I comes up because of the existence of ahankara. That is why the last thing that you need to drop, that is going to be ahankara. You will drop all attachments before that. Ahankara will be your last and the most difficult one. So even if you get enlightened in the last but one stage, which is the sixth stage actually, and leave the body and never ever come back into body, and you are in the higher realms, there also there is ahankara. You getting it? The final kick out of this creation happens when you drop that ahankara. And that ahankara is what is that which creates this Ashana. Remember the Ashanas I taught you in Upanishad? Yeah? The thirst to live is the biggest Ashana, Jiveshana. Yeah, the thirst to exist. It's not the question of living in a physical form. The thirst to just be an individual. That is very difficult to give up. Very, very difficult. Just imagine you find it so difficult to give up small things in life. But to give up the desire to exist altogether, it's going to be one of the biggest things that you would have to give up. It means the end of all, the end of existence. Not just the end of this body. Yeah, in this lifetime, we just talk about not coming back into the cycle of birth and death of this body. Yeah, so there's a higher level. And if you don't manage that higher level of kicking out in this lifetime, but you are very evolved and you're sattva, you will be born in the heavenly realms. You will be stuck for thousands and thousands and thousands of years in sukha, in happiness, but not out of it. Yeah? So that Mahat Tattva, that is the most important door out. Yeah? The moment you drop ahankara, you are at that door. You're ready to go. This Maha Ahankara is the cause of Yoga Maya on the spiritual path. Thus we wonder why on the spiritual path should there be ego? Okay, there is in the material world, politics is there, pain is there, dukkha is there, but why on the spiritual path? This ahankara. You have this ahankara also. Have you noticed? A very subtle ahankara of being spiritual. You have it.
Sure.
Yeah, to some extent we will look down.
Yes.
Quite predominant.
Yeah, we don't say it. We might not say it to somebody. We are kind and noble and we are good people, and we put on this big act of being Jai Gurudev and all. But somewhere that subtle bhava is there.
Somebody says something, you understand it, and oh yeah, look at him.
अरे हमें बहुत सीखा
We might not say it.
Say it also, but inside, yeah.
Yeah. Now, even if you've progressed to that point where you don't say it inside, it is a bhava,
You
not
have
in a
feeling.
thought.
There's a feeling.
It's a feeling that I know I'm greater than you, I'm more compassionate than you, not in thoughts. You know? Or you send good vibrations to the person. Why are you sending? Who you?
But no, if you try to help, that is also ego.
Why are you helping?
I'm better than you.
Yeah, you are less than me. I am helping you. बहुत subtle है. सबसे खतरनाक वाला ego is on the spiritual path.
Is that why all these people like, Asaram and all that, like, they become learned and then they,
Lose track.
I just have the way that a lot of people
Yeah,
who start
many sages also.
sages have
Yeah, they reach that stage. We're going to talk about it in Bhagavad Gita actually. That even when you reach a very high sattvic level, there you develop more ego. In Rajas and Tamas, you know your flaws. You're ready to accept, boss, I really need to work. But when you become very sattvic, the biggest obstacle is my own ego. You get it? And that's tougher. It's tougher for a sattvic person to get enlightened than a rajasic or tamasic person. Yeah? Because rajasic and tamasic person knows his flaws and is humble enough, at least on the spiritual path, if not outside, but on the spiritual path, boss, mere mein khami hai, enough to work on this. So he never gets into that ego which a sattvic person gets into. You see it? So it's
Complicated.
easier.
And it doesn't even stop at like others. Like even when this was happening, when she was asking, "Kya stupid question? You have not attended this from the start.
Yes.
Don't ask this."
Yeah.
So this was happening.
I realized it later. Like, I already asked. So
So it was
let me
like
make a fool out of myself.
no, but again it was.
No, not at all.
It's not like that. I realized it later that I think it was a very basic thing and I haven't done.
See, you're not getting. This is the humility. See, you are stuck. Are you seeing right here?
Yeah.
इसमें देख कितनी ह्यूमिलिटी. हाँ यार मैंने गलती कर दी, पर इसने अभी भी सोचा था कि यार क्यों पूछ रही है यार, पता है मेरे को, सबको पता है, बहुत बेसिक क्वेश्चन है इस सेशन के लिए, है ना? This is what sattvic ego is. More खतरनाक. You have to work harder. Yeah. So start recognizing this ahankara and start dropping. It's not important, not important, not important. Aya, vapis, it's like the cobra. It keeps picking its hood up. Every time you will have to gently put it down. If you try to struggle with it, it's going to bite you. And bite you real hard. Yeah? So very gently you have to keep doing this. You have to keep doing this with your own ego. Yeah? It's a repetitive exercise. Remember this. It's not going to happen in the first go. It's not going to happen in 10 goes. It's not going to happen in 100 goes. Do you get it?
Moment to moment.
Yes. Again and again, again and again. Very important on this path. Because it'll affect your spiritual growth, not others. For that moment you feel, oh, I'm great, I said this to him or to her, I put this person down, but somewhere you lost in the whole thing. Externally, the other person seems to have lost. In actuality, you have lost. You getting it? Yeah. So very, very vigilant on the spiritual path. Even before speaking something inside, you think twice. Do I need to? Karma. Whatever works for you. Stop yourself again and again.
Even at the thought level, right? I mean,
I'm
not
talking
just-
about inside
yeah,
only, you have to
inside.
stop. Bahar to, it's too late. Here. This is where you work first. Yeah? So sattvic person has to work double compared to a rajasic or a tamasic person. Yeah, double. This is the problem of Gyan Yogis. Yeah? Very, very tough problem. Yeah? You might find that somebody else who you thought was very behind in the race has gone way ahead, but you are stuck with the same problem. And this can go on till lifetimes. So, ahankar, we must work on this.
Sorry, one tangent question. But is it like if once a Gyan Yogi, you will always be a Gyan Yogi? Or if you're a Bhakti Yogi or a Karma
So,
Yogi,
see,
that is how your
your path
lifetimes-
you only will recognize. If you're a bhakt, you are a very in the heart kind of a person. तो कैसे change करेगी? You are a sensitive person.
is it the nature of that particular soul or that Jiveshna or
No, it is.
Atma,
It
or it's
is
only this body?
It's this body-mind complex ka karmas, gunas, sanskaras,
Okay.
your surroundings and the DNA. Everything together has made Amrita a sensitive person, a person of the heart. By choice, can you become a person of the head? You cannot. I cannot change myself. This is the way I am. I am a sensitive person. I'm a person of the heart. I cannot become a person of the head. Conversely, for him, he's a person of the head. How much ever he fakes it, I love you. Beyond the point, there is no love coming up. Either way, I love. That's how a person of the head is. So he's only, saying it through the lips, but it's difficult. You get it? You cannot change this. This is the way you are made. So don't fight it. Whatever it is, you recognize and you take that path. Very easy it becomes. Only acceptance is the problem. Everybody wants to be a Gyan Yogi, but the biggest obstacle they don't understand is on the path of Gyan Yoga. Ahankar. Major ahankar.
But it changes with lifetimes, or I mean, I just wanted to know
Only
that.
with their own practice will it change.
No, not the
Ahankar.
ahankar. As in, say for tomorrow if I die and I get into another body mind complex thing,
Yes.
so it can change.
Yes, it can change. We don't know future.
Right.
इतना दूर जाना नहीं है, time नहीं है अपने पास. In this very lifetime, मैंने किताब लिखने वाली हूँ, उसका नाम ही in this very lifetime लिखा है.
Maybe after Krishna session where you promised कि when if whatever you are, you recognize your path and you whatever practices you do, that's when you can become a wholesome personality. So I'm still hoping for that. You remember?
The desire is there.
I know. That has to happen sometime. But that's the same question. ठीक है, whatever I am, I recognize it. But what now? I mean, how do you become wholesome?
We'll get there. For that we need 9 long days meditation. We'll get there. इस पेज पे और कुछ है? Done no with this page?
क्या बोलते हैं? Mosquitoes, flies, demon, fire.
Yeah, this is all very nice. And there's no knowledge that I can explain over there, right? And I explained to you that which is in bold. O Rama, he is the ego sense. He's talking about Maha Ahankara here. He's also calling him Rudra. Yeah, and he's devoted to the disturbance of the equilibrium. His form is pure space or void. This is that Ahankara that you will meet before you get to Mahat Tattva. And see, it is mentioned, he exists as movement in Chidakasha, which is the infinite consciousness, and as air in both the physical space and in living beings as their life breath. बोलो अहंकार को निकालो कैसे? It's life breath. Yeah? So you have to give up this jiveshana for it to go. Do you get it? Jiveshana is the desire to live. It is life breath. So only when I give up the desire to live can the ahankara be dropped.
Drop the desire to live, not just in this body, but live,
To exist.
exist. Okay.
You have, some people have the desire, I will go to heaven, I will become a deva, I will be an energy, okay. All of it is Jiveshwara. You get it? What we did in Bhagavad Gita, we did the higher realms where you become a Siddha, you remember?
Yeah.
And you were just in a higher realm where you are only meditating or you're with the Creator. That also is a desire to exist, even that needs to be
Wrong.
Now this cannot be wished. It cannot be wishful thinking. नहीं होने वाला है. Yeah? You just know this is the end goal. Yeah? And you know your starting point is whatever you have today. My meditation, my kriya, my whatever. You just know. It's like I'm planting a seed today. Let's see where it goes. Now, after talking about Maha Ahankara, you tend to develop Dvesha for him. Yeah? So that is why the last paragraph. Since he is attained by goodness and his very existence is for the good of all, he is known as Shiva. Yeah? He then attains to the state of supreme peace and is therefore known as Krishna. And he himself creates the whole universe and he drinks the one ocean of cosmic being and attains to that supreme peace. So at deluge, all ahankaras are destroyed, all mini ahankaras in all of us. Yeah? So the Maha Ahankara rests, there is an equilibrium, there is no more desire. So because of that equilibrium, the Maha Ahankara also disappears. That is the meaning, he rests, he attains the supreme peace. Okay, any questions online? All good? All poetry and all, no? No story. You have to actually dig out the knowledge from the poem. Okay. If you have no more questions, then I think we'll wrap up. We'll read the next 3-4 pages next time. Okay, so we'll meet next week. Until then, do your homework. Yeah. Jai Gurudev.
Jai.